You know, I haven't seen left Twitter this happy since Donald Trump got COVID. If you're, in case you're just waking up, or no, I don't even know if that's enough. I feel like this information has probably permeated the dreamscape as well. In case you were just born, Rush Limbaugh is dead after a struggle with a particularly fairly advanced lung cancer. And you know what I'm gonna say? He was a terrible man, et cetera, et cetera. But what I'm really concerned about is the online reaction to all this. And it's the same reaction that happens every single time, okay? Every single time. Usually, the way this discourse works is that a good person on the left will die, you know, or like a neutral, what, like a fine, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, you know what I mean? She'll die. I don't think she was perfect, but, you know, like, okay. And conservatives will make fun of her, drag her through the mud, lie about her, mock her death, etc., etc. And then Adolf Hitler will die a couple of months later. And everyone else on earth will make fun of that, and the conservatives will cry about it. And that's like the back and forth discourse. Now, I want to be really clear, okay? Rush Limbaugh, when it comes to the business of making the world a worse place, Rush Limbaugh was king, okay? He was the number one most listened to radio personality in America. And I think something like 16 million weekly listeners. Just an unfathomably large platform. And he used it to spread hate, and he's been doing this for decades. There's a viral Twitter post right now saying that Rush Limbaugh used to look up the names of gay men who had died of HIV and would mock them on radio. Now, I looked that up. I actually couldn't find anything to corroborate that claim. I couldn't find anything, sorry, to substantiate it. So that might be fake news. But he did make fun of the victims of AIDS. And I don't know if he like looked obituary names up and read those, but he did make fun of those who died of AIDS. He's made fun of everyone. He's virulently racist. He's virulently sexist. He has supported essentially every terrible political program that you could name for the past like 30 years. He has been one of the forefront figures in making this world, this country, more cruel, more austere, more hateful. And the only thing, honestly, the only thing that cheapens the delightfulness of his death is the fact that he won. He got away with it. He didn't die in a prison cell after getting arrested for corruption charges, or he wasn't arrested for being on Epstein's island. I don't know if he was on Epstein. I don't know if he was in the black book, by the way. I'm just saying, like, he didn't go out in some like pathetic display of whatever the opposite of glory is. He wasn't shamed. He wasn't dragged. He was the biggest guy on radio. He was a hateful, fear-mongering piece of shit. He did it for decades. He was beloved in his communities and wealthy and respected, again, in his communities. And then he died at 70. Well, I don't... I mean, I'm glad he's gone, but, I mean, what is there to celebrate, really? Like, yeah, imagine the headline, you know, like, Hitler dead in hospital bed at age of 70 after long battle with cancer. Like, that's not real. It's not quite the same, is it? You know, we want these people to be defeated in life so they can be. You can make a mockery of them. You can hold them up. You can say, "Hey, look, this is the consequence." And Rush Limbaugh, he seems like an incredibly embittered, like miserable piece of shit too. These people always tend to be, you know. I never really get the impression when I listen to these conservative radio shock jocks making fun of like dead people, AIDS, gay people, lesbians, whatever, that like then they go home and they have a happy, fulfilling life. That's not the impression that I get, you know? Usually I feel like these embittered motherfuckers are miserable pieces of shit anyway. And I mean, there's something to be taken from that, but again, died at 70 in a hospital bed. Okay. He'll be loved forever by the people who loved him in life. There is nothing wrong with celebrating the death of a man as odious as Rush Limbaugh. In fact, I think there's something morally correct about it, because when the world is rid of, and I'm going to use fairly essentialist terms here, but I mean this sincerely, and I could make this video 6 hours long by literally just finding up the archives of all of the fucking heinous shit he said and believed. and reading through it. But you can do that yourself if you want. Or maybe that could be a fun stream idea, you know? Maybe we'll just come up here and I'll be like, hey, all right, we got we found some archives. Let's just read it out loud, you know? I don't even know if I'd be able to read it all out loud without getting kicked off YouTube for all the shit he says, you know? YouTube TOS probably a little bit more strict than radio TOS. The FCC regulation? Wait, is it FCC or FEC? I always mix them up. Hold on, that's pretty embarrassing. FCC. Yeah, Communications Commission. Yeah, FCC. Sorry, not FEC. It's stock market. Yeah. Okay. That might be a fun stream idea, but I'm not going to weigh the video down with that because you can look yourself. He's a horrible man. What I really care about is this idea, like you can't celebrate when people die. Wait, since when was that a fucking rule? This is the epitome of liberal bullshit civility politics. The idea that all else put aside, across the political aisle, we're all people together in this wonderful world. Tim Poole laid out a tweet just like a couple of hours ago, which was so perfect that I feel like it may have been actually a parody of Tim Poole, from Tim Poole, which was him saying, I liked it when Rush Limbaugh came on Family Guy to voice himself. It really gave me hope that at the end of the day, we could all work together. And man, if that's not fucking perfect, that's really good, Tim. I hate to go to the Godwin's Law example. Like, if you went around New York, day that Hitler killed himself, and went around, he was a person too, like, people would have spit in your face. Because whether you like it or not, people like Rush Limbaugh, their actions have consequences on the people around them. Our political discourse, the world we engage in, it's not some, like, the free marketplace of ideas isn't like some neutral, ethereal avenue where people enlightenedly discuss ideas. I don't think enlightened's an adverb. Discuss ideas in an enlightened way, and like it's all abstract, it's all conceptual, it's the dreamscape. That's not true. People like Rush Limbaugh and the stuff they support, the stuff they say, the stuff they believe, it directly leads to harm for people. Sometimes it leads directly to death for people. When we're talking about political austerity, when we're talking about corporate corruption, when we're talking about regulatory capture, Rush Limbaugh is behind a lot of that. When we're talking about parents kicking out their LGBT kids, LGBTQIA plus kids, because the parents find their children anomalous and disgusting. I bet you that's happened a lot of times under the wing of Rush Limbaugh. Absolutely. They listen to his program. They take in that hate, whether it comes to racism or sexism, the people who die of the police, black men who kill each other because this country is unwilling to address long-standing systemic inequalities in our country, allowing to a financial dearth, which has plagued people of color for well over the length of this country's existence. You can trace a lot of that back to Rush Limbaugh. The words have consequences, and Rush Limbaugh's behavior had consequences. And even though it may have been abstract, even though it may have been indirect, Rush Limbaugh's boot laid upon the neck of many Americans. And I'm not going to shame those Americans for celebrating him when he died. And by the way, I want to say, you're a conservative, you're not happy Rush Limbaugh died, congratulations. But that's not because you're some enlightened moral agent who understands that at the end of the day, we're all singing Kumbaya together and there's no consequence to any actions whatsoever with regards to speech. So who cares, really, what Rush Limbaugh said or did? They all deserve respect when they die. That's not why you're upset about liberals and leftists mocking his death. You're upset in all likelihood because you don't really care about the stuff Rush Limbaugh did. In other words, your unwillingness to be happy that he is dead, in all likelihood, stems not from some higher moral position, but rather because you just didn't really mind what he was doing, or you were unaware. If you're a conservative or a centrist and you feel like undecided on this issue, I encourage you to actually look at what he did and to imagine what one of the world's largest media figures saying stuff like this might have done to the millions of Americans who listened to him, or the millions of Americans who had to live with the people who listened to them, and all the people who might have hurt or been killed or may have committed suicide or been affected by government policy in a negative way on account of all of that. You probably just don't care about those things, or you care about them so little that you don't think there's any worth to celebrating the end of their propagation, at least from Rush Limbaugh. You know, I mean, I don't know how direct does it have to be? Osama bin Laden. Osama didn't directly fly the planes into the towers, did he? How many people died from 9/11? 3,000. We want to do the math on how many people have died due to economic austerity, how many people died due to starvation, how many people have died from the wars that Rush Limbaugh's, celebrated. I mean, I don't know. How do we want to do the math here? At the end of the day, everyone's willing to celebrate the death of somebody. If you're not willing, and if that somebody is not Rush Limbaugh, then man, he deserved it more than most. So it's probably just because you don't really mind what he did that much, which would make you a bad person, obviously. Yeah, Godspeed. May he rot in hell. I hope that he's blowing out Reagan's back walls right now, and may Kissinger join them all soon.